We need to talk more about who and what was behind this. What motives, what policies was behind what took place? It had been thought it was Islamic terrorism, jihadists, perhaps even Al-Qaeda. Now let's speak to one of the foremost experts on right-wing extremism in Scandinavia, Tore Bjorgio from the Norwegian Institute of International Affairs, joins me on the line. Tore, when I hear right-wing extremism, I don't think of somebody blowing up a vast bomb and then shooting 84 people dead.
Well, it's of course, totally unexpected in Norway, but we have seen similar events carried out by right-wing extremist groups several times. The Oklahoma City bombing in the United States was, of course, a prime case, but there were also similar bombing in Italy, in Bologna, at the railroad station in around 1980, I think, with several hundred dead. So
sure.
This is not totally new, but it's
right.
Not common.
I suppose, let me re-qualify my question. I don't think of Norway, perhaps the crucial fact I left out. I don't think of Norway as suffering from such excessive extremism with such violence.
No, I can understand that, and neither do I. We had, during the 1980s and 90s, several cases of small-scale right-wing extremist terrorism. The last case was a knife murder in 2001, and then this milieu sort of faded out a little bit. They have been very low during the last decade. There are still some small groups, but they have not been active in the streets. The main, what you're seeing mainly is more like kind of internet activists, people who engage
right.
in internet forum and so on.
So,
and it
do
this person grew out of that scene.
Right. Do these people flourish because Norway has a very open, liberal, very, very much laissez-faire form of life that actually encourages dissent or in a consensual sense, but obviously allows this to breed?
Well, I don't think you can say they flourish. They have been, it's a very, very small scene. And it has, as I said, if you compare Norway to Sweden, I think the right-wing extremist white power scene was 10 times bigger in Sweden than in Norway during the 1990s, which were the heydays in Norway. So the Norwegian right-wing extremist scene has always been much smaller. But still, you only need one or two people. And these people are, at least the person apprehended now, is not typical. He is a very rare person.
What do they want? What are they against? Besides the anti-immigration policies and a sort of a white or an anti-Islamic bent to their policies, what do they really want?
Well, this person, he seems to grow out of a kind of more moderate mainstream politics. He belonged to a party which I think ideologically is closer to the American Republican Party than to any kind of European right-wing extremist movement. Then he quit that party and apparently moved to the right. And he was very strongly anti-Islamist, anti-multicultural society. I've not been able yet to read all his writings. I just got the print out today. But he, according to those who read his statements, there is nothing about violence in them. He is anti-multiculturalist, but he is not into violent politics. And this seems to be a different phase of that person.
And how far in Norway would you say that there is a feeling of anti-multiculturalism? And I preface this question, I'm not for a second suggesting that there are many people that would advocate or would postulate these sort of violent acts. But as a general feeling of anti-multiculturalism today, is that on the rise?
I think it's correct to say it's slightly on the rise, but it's not. If you compare with some of our neighboring countries, I think that if you go to Denmark, the anti-Muslim debate has been much harsher. The climate has been much tougher. Norway has had also some tough debates, but in a more moderate tone. And Sweden, I think, have been perhaps the most careful not to offend anyone. But still, in a way, the mainstream debate in Denmark has been very fierce. The mainstream debate in Norway has not been quite so fierce.